Biden is accused of something terrible. Well, more terrible than what he's usually accused of. Government is once again about to shut down. Even mattress stores don't spend this long saying they're going out of business. And a study about COVID lockdowns that will surprise you. Mostly that people are surprised about it. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Scientists have discovered the oldest black hole so far. It's estimated to have formed 13.2 billion years ago, 470 million years after the Big Bang, and is 10 times bigger than the black hole in the Milky Way. Boy, that's neat. Speaking of events that feel like they've been going on since the beginning of time and are giant voids of infinite, dense nothingness, the 2024 presidential election. It hasn't been a great week for either of the presumed candidates. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says he plans to issue 24 subpoenas to members of President Joe Biden's family. And he began by subpoenaing the president's son, Hunter, and brother, James. Comer claims Joe Biden received $40,000 in laundered money from communist China in the form of a check from his brother, James Biden. But CNN claims that documents provided to them by Democrats show that this money was actually part of James Biden repaying a $200,000 loan given to him by his brother. Comer denies that there's evidence of such a loan and says this was a very organized criminal enterprise by the Biden family. This $40,000 landed in Joe Biden's pocket after the Bidens laundered it. But that money came from China. Further evidence that Joe Biden benefited from his family's influence peddling scheme. Either way, Joe Biden has a heck of a brother. $40,000? I can't get my brother to write me a $40 check for my Huffy bike he trashed back in the 3rd grade. By the way, studies show my generation has weaker grip strength than previous generations, but that doesn't affect me because I can easily hold on to this grudge for another 30 years without ever letting it go. Bidenomics. The calling card of Joe Biden's presidency. It may actually be working against him, as polls show that voters in battleground states think the economy is in rough shape and would do better under former President Donald Trump. Even Biden himself admitted he's not entirely sure what the term Bidenomics really means, saying, "I don't know what the hell that is, but it's working." Oh, so it's like the 11 products in my skincare routine. I have no clue what a deep-setting astringent exfoliator is, but as you can tell by my flawless complexion, it's effective. But it's probably not a great sign that the president doesn't know how to explain his calling card a year out from the election. That'd be like if you asked Ronald McDonald what's in a Big Mac and he said, "Heck if I know." They should make a song about it. But hey, at least Biden's fellow Democrats support him, right? Like this Democratic strategist and former member of Obama's White House who says Biden should ask himself if it's in his or the country's best interest to stay in the race. Ooh. As for Donald Trump, he testified at his New York civil fraud trial. As you can imagine, Trump was as calm and cool as a cucumber that was on fire while being shoved in a wood chipper, spewing flaming bits of cucumber at everyone in its path. For an in-depth look at this civil fraud trial, check out this video where I cover it. But during his testimony, Trump insulted Attorney General Letitia James, presiding judge Arthur Engoron, the trial itself. He basically insulted everything. He treated his testimony like part 2 of his Comedy Central roast. He went from Don Trump to Don Rickles. Trump says he wasn't treated fairly and wasn't shy about talking about it, to the judge's chagrin. The judge told Trump's lawyer to try and control him or risk having him removed as a witness, saying, "I beseech you to control him if you can. If you can't, I will. I'm not here to listen to what he has to say." The judge isn't in court to listen to what someone on trial has to say? That's his whole job. In fairness, the judge said this in reference to the fact that Trump was asked simple yes or no questions, and he answered each with a prolonged tirade. But also in fairness, what did the judge expect? Going on tirades is Trump's thing. Asking his lawyer to control that would be like asking them to keep the ocean tides from rolling in, and calling Rosie O'Donnell fat. After his testimony, Trump had this to say.
I think it went very well. I think you were there and you listened and you see what a scam this is. This is a case that should have never been brought. People are sick and tired of what's happening. This is I think it's a very sad day for America.
People are sick and tired of what's happening is honestly the greatest campaign slogan I've ever heard. Not even just for politicians, but for anything. People are sick and tired of what's happening. Eat at Denny's. So is this trial hurting Trump's presidential chances? Possibly the opposite. According to a poll from the New York Times, Trump now leads Biden in 5 key swing states. Seems like the more court cases Trump gets, the higher he climbs in polls. What can I say? America loves a bad boy. Seeing this, Biden should tell Comer, "Come on, man, give me even more subpoenas. Show America what a bad boy I am." And after the break, a psychedelic drug is being used for pain treatment. Welcome back. Some doctors are now prescribing patients the psychedelic drug ketamine to treat pain. But a Duke University pain specialist, which sounds like the most metal occupation there is, worries this could just be repeating the same mistakes that led to the opioid epidemic, saying a medical journal will publish a few papers saying, "Oh look, this is doing good things," and then there's rampant off-label use without necessarily the science behind it. What? How is overprescribing drugs to treat pain without any regard for long-term effects anything like the opioid epidemic? Now that I say it out loud, yeah, that tracks. Time really is a flat circle, which is something you can actually see if you take enough ketamine. Dr. David Majubi, who owns the Ketamine Healing Clinic in Los Angeles, says, "We want patients to disassociate or feel separate from their pain, depression, or anxiety. If they feel like they're just sitting in the chair the whole time, we actually give them more. They're just trying to make their patients disassociate. We don't need drugs for that. You can just remind them that the Rugrats are all in their 30s now." Time isn't a flat circle, it's a construct. We're all constructs, nothing's real. Who am I? What am I? What is all of this? Oh, wait, hey, my back doesn't hurt anymore. See, no drugs needed. Speaking of drugs, police in Burlington, Connecticut uncovered $8.5 million worth of magic mushrooms being grown in a suburban home. That is one giant stash of magic mushrooms. Investigators should also check to see if the home contains fire flowers, invincibility stars, and a skin tanuki the owner wears like a suit. Well, it's another day, so you know what that means. Another impending government shutdown. This latest one will happen on November 17th if Congress can't decide on how to fund government operations. Government shutdowns have more sequels than Friday the 13th movies. New House Speaker Mike Johnson suggested the possibility of a laddered continuing resolution, or CR, where representatives would vote on spending initiatives individually instead of all at once. So like ordering a la carte at a restaurant, but one where the service sucks and it takes forever for you to get all the items. And even though you don't think they deserve a tip, they just take a portion of it right from your paycheck. Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee isn't a big fan of Johnson's idea. He says, "By law, we have one job, and that is to pass 12 appropriations bills and a budget. We aren't doing that, which is why we are $33 trillion in debt. I won't vote to let Congress continue kicking the can down the road when we should have been working on this in August. We can't keep playing games with Americans' hard-earned money," which I'm sure led to most of Congress saying, "We can't?" Pretty sure we already have been. This guy must be new. Just another reason why people are sick and tired of what's happening. Eat at Denny's. And after the break, the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto is leaked. Welcome back. Conservative podcaster Steven Crowder released a leaked manifesto from the shooter that killed 6 people at Covenant Christian School in Nashville this past March before being killed by police. The police refused to release the manifesto, despite several media requests to do so. They said it was to be respectful to the families of the deceased. But some feel it's because the shooter was trans, and the leaked manifesto revealed they wanted to kill privileged white kids at the school, despite the shooter also being white and having previously attended the school. Because of the Nashville killer's beliefs and lifestyles, many think the reason their manifesto, or tranifesto, if you will, was suppressed by authorities was to protect left-leaning ideology. Conservative commentator Rogan O'Handley says, "This is why the DOJ suppressed the Nashville manifesto. It shows how leftist ideology radicalized a trans shooter to murder Christian children. This was political terrorism, and the Biden regime tried to cover it up." So we have a killer, a potentially politically motivated cover-up, and a politically motivated blame game. Man, if I wanted to see a story with no one I can root for, I just watched Wolf of Wall Street again. At least that story's entertaining, for the 7 minutes Matthew McConaughey's in it. There were a ton of elections this week, and the big takeaway, according to the press, is that Democrats were the big winners, due largely to voters rejecting Republican-proposed abortion limitations. Ohio voted to enshrine abortion access into its constitution. In Virginia, Democrats maintained control of the state Senate and gained control of the House. Ironically, it seems like opposing abortion prevents Republicans from surviving another term. The American Psychological Association, or APA, says COVID-19 and the lockdown surrounding it caused collective trauma to Americans. APA CEO Arthur C. Evans, Jr. says the COVID-19 pandemic created a collective experience among Americans. While the early pandemic lockdowns may seem like the distant past, the aftermath remains. Certainly, you can see there are still lingering psychological effects of the pandemic. Namely, people still care about Tiger King. One of the people from that show pled guilty to animal trafficking, and it's making front-page news? The only trafficker I want on the front page is Jeffrey Epstein, with a list of who his wealthy clients were. Guess that's just going to be one of the mysteries lost to time, along with who was Jack the Ripper and why do kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Speaking of wealth, one study points out that both economically and physically, lockdowns could have hurt more than they helped. It explains the price tag of lockdowns in terms of public health is high. By using the known connection between health and wealth, we estimate that lockdowns may claim 20 times more life years than they save. Further, according to Oxfam International, a global organization dedicated to fighting poverty and inequality, 99% of humanity lost income during the pandemic, while the richest people on Earth got insanely richer. So rich, in fact, that the world's richest man, Elon Musk, had enough money to buy not only Twitter, but also launched a new ChatGPT rival called Grok, which is a reference to Stranger in a Strange Land and not the name of one of his exes. The rich just keep getting richer? You know what that means? They must be healthier than ever. And if you're looking for ways to survive in an economic recession, believe it or not, you can learn that from playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I explain how in this video from our other channel, Gamers Unbeaten. And if you want to make sure we can keep making episodes like this, click on that orange button to support us on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.